The Rap Roundtable.
Yes, sir. The Rap Roundtable is back on deck. It's your boy Jav here alongside Sincere the Rap Snob, alongside Macito. Dini's on the clock. I know how it goes. We just get the whatever combination we can get together to give you this podcast energy. New York's #1 podcast. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe option. And of course, we keep talking about hitting the like button, hitting the subscribe option. But apparently, there's new rules at YouTube, and we need to let y'all know. Consider this a call to action. Right below the screen, where you see the chat in the comment section, if you keep scrolling, there's an option for a hype button. You have to hit the hype button in order for us to feed the algorithm. YouTube has updated the algorithm, and they want us to highlight this new hype button. And you know how social media goes. When they roll out something new, they will torpedo what works in the past in order for the people, ourselves, the creators, to highlight something new. So when you hit the like button, go down just a little bit, scroll twice, hit the hype button. In fact, if you already hitting the like button, and the people who are the regular likers, we love you for that. But run it up, like hype, back to back. So if it's 500 likes on each and every video, we need 500 hypes on each and every video.
You telling me like's not enough?
Lock in, huh?
You telling me like isn't enough?
Like and hype, apparently.
Like and hype. Like and hype.
Like and hype.
Like and hype, man. That's the new mode.
YouTube apparently is not even placing your video on people's timelines if the hype ain't there.
That's crazy.
So it's new rules, guys. So like and hype, people, and of course, still subscribe. We get to 22.6K subscribers. Shout out to everybody who's still hitting the subscription option. We pushing it 30K, road to 30K. Keep doing what you do, but hit the hype button. All right. So Nas made a comment about Kendrick Lamar. Since it is this is his wheelhouse. Kendrick Lamar essentially being a beacon of hip hop, a North Star of hip hop. So getting that status bestowed upon him from what a lot of people might say is his spiritual successor, Kendrick being Nas's spiritual successor in his rap shit. That's a big statement, Sincere. What are your thoughts on that, man?
It's a huge statement. It carries so much weight and so much history. You know what I mean? He's not just saying like he's the best rapper. He's not just saying he's the GOAT or a modern GOAT. He called him the North Star. Like that carries so much weight in history with it. You know what I mean? Like if you know the history, you know what the North Star means. You know what it means in the history of Black people in slavery, and using it as a guiding way, a guiding light to freedom, to enlightenment, to be able to be yourself without the shackles of society on you. You know what I mean? Of the government on you, or of white people on you. You know what I mean? So we all know that this is the way that Nas thinks. This is, the wavelength that he's on. You hear me talk about frequencies and wavelengths a lot on here. That's the wavelength and frequency Nas has always been on, and he sees that in Kendrick. You know what I mean? And I love to see it. I love to see the flowers from the OGs being passed on to Kendrick. You know what I mean? The passing on of the baton, so to speak, and to get that cosign from the OGs, the legends. You know what I mean? Not from a Young Thug or something like that, but like from an OG legend, a real staple, a real beacon of culture in the game like Nas. And of course, this is gonna come with just a little bit of bias because I'm a Nas fan and I'm a Kendrick fan, but the fact that these two, like they're it's almost like their paths are crossing in a way that somebody like me just loves to see. You know what I mean? I love to see these two paths crossing. I love to see the acknowledgement. I'm curious as to how certain people in the space might see this cosign and might see this, these accolades being placed upon him by the OGs like Nas, and especially it being Nas that does it, because I know a lot of Nas fans that like to downplay Kendrick and low-key want to shit on Kendrick. You know what I mean? So to have I'm just curious to see like certain Nas fans out there, how they're handling it. If they're not Kendrick fans, how they're handling Nas giving Kendrick these types of flowers, and calling him, a North Star beacon, you know what I mean, and giving all of these accolades to Kendrick. Well deserved, man. I love to see it. I love to my two goats. So I mean, what else can I say, man? I'm winning out here, man. I'm eating well. You know what I mean?
This might be the best time of Sincere's hip hop life.
Listen,
Let me rephrase it. Post golden era time of Sincere's hip hop life, because
I would
it
say
don't get
post
better than the
ether,
golden era.
actually.
But the Young Thug slander right there is quite hilarious. Like if some rapper came and said, "Yo, Young Thug said I'm nice," Sin would say, "Whoop dee doo," like he wouldn't even care. Yeah. But yo,
for the record, Young Thug likes Kendrick.
Right?
Also, real quick, this is real life. I have a note. It just like sometimes I have these random thoughts and I jot them down in my notes so I don't forget them. Like this was October 4th, 4 days ago, like over the weekend. I just randomly wrote down Kendrick Lamar is the modern age Nas. This was like 4 days ago. Wow. You know what I mean? Just to make sure I don't forget that point, because I wanted to bring it up at some point on the podcast. But here we are. You know what I mean?
Of course, doing what it does as usual. But coming with Kendrick praise, we've seen that anytime Kendrick gets praise, sometimes or somehow or the other, New York gets pulled into it. There's this weird narrative that New York hates Kendrick. I feel like the Meadowlands being packed out twice says otherwise. Was it twice? It was 2 shows at the Meadowlands, right?
The Kendrick? It was 2. Yeah, it was
2 shows. Yep. Completely packed. So the whole idea that New York hates Kendrick, it just doesn't track. But nevertheless, there are some people in New York who took offense to Nas saying this about Kendrick, but Nas refusing to shine the light on other New York artists. What is your reaction to that, Mace?
My reaction to that is, haters are gonna hate. You feel what I'm saying? Listen, it's very interesting. I'm glad you mentioned the New York part of it, all y'all. It's very interesting that New York will get the narrative about us that we dislike Kendrick because of podcaster number 1. You know what I mean? Random tweeter number 2. But when Nas, the golden child in New York, you know what I mean? To many in New York, the GOAT, you know what I mean? Like New York's very own, when he calls Kendrick the North Star, it's not, the narrative doesn't change. It doesn't, there's no refute of, hey, 50 Cent, kind of likes Drake, so New York hates Kendrick. No, that's not the case, guys. That's not the case. So for me personally, I'm not gonna act like I haven't seen, some dissension. You know what I mean? That's kind of New York's. That's kind of what we do, right? There's always gonna be 2 sides to every opinion in New York. There's some that love Nas. There's some that hate Nas. There's some that love Jay-Z. There's some that hate Jay-Z. There's actually people who dislike Biggie in New York, as crazy as that sounds. So I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, it's just another part of the narrative. For one thing that we've said here at the Rap Roundtable, as well as all of us being Kendrick fans, New Yorkers ourselves, one thing that we've all kind of, gone and said is that, listen, it's, you can't take random people in New York's opinions over what Nas thinks about him, because this isn't the first time Nas has complimented him. This is almost like been an ongoing thing now, right? You also have, Jay-Z, the other pillar of New York, being the guy who put him on the Super Bowl stage, right? Co-signing him, in the very middle of everything, Jay-Z co-signed what Kendrick was doing as far as the battle is concerned and his career is concerned. So, I get it, y'all. There are people in New York that, feel like Nas is doing too much here. Not that Nas hasn't done it, because I've seen recent Rome Streets interviews where he says every time Nas sees him, he talks about how much he loves what he's doing. You know what I mean? that's the
Streets is signed to Mass Appeal, so
signed to Mass Appeal. You know what I mean? The new person on the block, Mass Appeal, sure got a lot of New York artists coming out with their music, right? So it's some people can't be happy with anything, and you just gotta let them live off that. You know what I mean? As far as this is concerned, this is much more in line with what we've been telling you, as far as the purists, as far as the cloth, as far as Sin.
Hello.
Get your flowers, Sin. You know what I mean?
Hello.
Somehow always on the right side of the argument, whether me or Jarv like it or not. Okay. So listen, this is more in line with what we've been trying to tell you. You know what I mean? About how the broader New York, the more cultured New York, the more, you know, the highbrow New York feels about Kendrick. Whether he's your favorite rapper or not, the respect is there from everywhere. When I speak to people who know hip hop, you know
that part, man. And I think that's what's important here. And you could mention the Nas and the Jay-Z of it all. I would say the two anchor beings of New York hip hop still to this very day. If they both co-signing him, why are we worried about what some random jabroni has to say about the situation, right? Or think about all of these bloggers who've had a podcast resurgence who are from New York, the Rob Markmans, the Waynos. Once upon a time, the company man spent a lot of time here in New York City. He worked out here. These guys they had feet on ground in the city, and they're talking about Kendrick in a high level way where it's like we're supporting this guy. We believe in what he represents. Everyone who loves hip hop, not the business of rap and what that churns out, but actual hip hop from New York City supports Kendrick Lamar. Let's not conflate people saying they might think Kendrick is overrated as an artist with we don't like him. Because those are two different arguments. But the way the internet works is either you, as we've learned, covering the battle, you got to be for him and say only nice things, or you're against him. Anything that you say that has a dissenting opinion turns into you don't like him. You could think somebody's awesome and overrated at the same time. That's why we use sports analogies so much in this pod to help kind of explain where we're coming from. Because sometimes the sports analogies help you to understand that, yeah, Tracy McGrady's an all-time scorer, but he's an overrated winner, per se. He didn't get it done when he needed to. Does that mean Tracy wasn't a 30-point-per-night scorer? No. That just means that there were certain things that he needed to do to be in the all-time conversation that he didn't do. That's just an example of it. That doesn't mean we hate Tracy McGrady.
You're saying he's trash.
That's the problem. You know what I mean? We had the issue with the other.
That's all I heard.
We asked the question about fucking T.I., and somehow we hate T.I. You know what I mean? He's not Mount Rushmore. It's like you got to be one way or the other, and the internet just misconstrues everything. But New York loves Kendrick Lamar. We got to stop highlighting negativity and stop giving voices to idiots who don't love hip hop. They like what they like, and if it falls in line with what they like, then that's hip hop. You know what I mean? Because I'm noticing slowly but surely there is a fight going on in hip hop right now where they're trying to pull it. The lyricists are having a day. They're having their day. And you see slowly but surely there's a silent battle taking place where they're trying to pull that away and get back to the BS just a little bit, or push back against the notion that we are in some type of a resurgence. There's people who are very angry about the idea of a resurgence and the idea that Kendrick is the face of the resurgence. And it's just like, yo, listen, this is where we at right now. You can't love this shit and say you love this shit and be mad at Kendrick's position. You can't be mad at Nas identifying the guy right now. Who better than Nas? Who better than Jay-Z to identify the guy right now? When the South had their run and they identified Drake as the guy, we had to sit through that. We had to wait our turn. You know what I mean? Some people are being greedy in my estimation right now. It's Kendrick's turn. And with it being Kendrick's turn, people like us, people like the Jay-Z's, the J.I.D.s, all of the lyrical guys, this is their turn. Kendrick is the guy. And if you're mad about it, listen to the music better. Find an artist that supports your line of work, or do what we did for almost 20 years. We still listen to the shit that we like. We didn't try to stop the South from getting a shine. We was mad about some of these whack artists, but we celebrated the guys who were good regardless of where they're from. And I think now everyone needs to do that. It's his turn. It's Kenny's turn. This is great for hip hop. It's great for discourse. And if you hate that, then you're just miserable. And I'm not shining light on miserable people anymore.
Word. It's been enough of that.
Right.
But I like to sort of carry on, and keep pulling at that thread. I see several people on Twitter, certain personalities, certain actual rappers, MCs who are respected. You know what I mean? But then they'll always sort of, and we just saw it again like today or like a couple days ago. We're seeing like people put Kendrick's pen into question.
Oh, we're gonna get into that on the next live for sure.
Yeah. But I just want to, I want to preface it a little bit. Calling his pen into question, saying that he doesn't, use enough multi-syllabic rhyme schemes in his rhymes to be considered like an elite MC or an elite lyricist. And I'm like, you know, on the one hand, you need to listen better because he absolutely does. Not all the time. Certain songs don't call for that, but he definitely does. And second, like that shit bothers the hell out of me because I feel like Kendrick is the guy, whether you think he's the illest lyricist or the illest rapper or the illest MC of all time or not. If you think that like Lupe is like crazier with the bars, if you think Ransom is crazier with the rhyme schemes, if you think that Black Thought is this and MF Doom is like, I get all of that, but this guy Kendrick is carrying on the actual feeling and the actual like soul of the culture, and he's putting it in his pen as well. Pause.
Yeah.
Hey yo, but like his pen game, I feel like people want to nitpick at his pen game. And I'm like, yo, y'all nitpicking entirely too much. Like, just because you think that, like, you know, a Lupe Fiasco might be, you know, technically better with the pen. Kendrick has got the whole culture on his back right now, and he's taking it to Brazil. He's taking it to Argentina, to Mexico. Got like entire fucking stadiums and arenas doing mosh pits to his songs, bro. And it's like, and that's off the strength of just being a ill lyricist.
I think the issue
I think everybody should get behind him, and that's to stop all this nitpicking about like, oh, but it's technically such and such. But like, come on, man.
Here's the thing, and we'll leave it like this because you know we got to get back to our regularly scheduled programs. I think the problem is social media, and I'm not trying to be the angry guy. I hate the internet. That's not what I'm saying. But in the past, where you had rapper A was the best, you didn't have to go on a Instagram or a Twitter or a TikTok and just see that all day. It'll be conversation pieces you have periodically throughout the week. And I think some people just get triggered because they see it over and over and over and over again, and it does something within them to where they just feel the need to push back against it. I'm guilty of it with LeBron. Like, I see LeBron as the GOAT all damn day. It's like, yo, shut up with this talk. There's plenty of guys who are more of a GOAT than LeBron. But at the same time, I know he's a GOAT. And I lose the plot because I'm sick of seeing this shit. And I think the internet and being that is spammed and algorithm based, and if you love a certain type of thing, it's gonna get thrown in your face over and over again. I think people are reacting in a way where it's like, I just don't want to see this shit again. How many times you can say this nigga's the best? There's other guys that rap and they get frustrated. And I think what we see is with some people who respond that way, it's hate bred from constantly seeing the same thing and they get mad. And Kendrick might not be, that's what we try, as we talked about it, niggas tried to get mad at us. And you know, and I'll let you finish with this one and then we get out of here. There's guys who are gonna be, like you said, like Lupe might have more of a dexterous rhyming ability or Black Thought. But a lot of times, even when Jay was the guy, even when Nas was the guy, there might be a guy who does something better than them. But it's usually about the overall average. If what the boxes you check, and when you put it together, who's the best? That's how it works. And Kendrick right now, as far as the totality of all the skill sets put together, along with the impact and the music he's making, he's the best. That don't mean that there's not guys who are more lyrical. That don't mean there's guys who might flow better. But the reality is, the combination platter, he got it right now. And that's just all it is. I think people need to understand that point.
But I'm saying, like, even if you are that type of nerd, and I'm not using nerd in a negative connotation.
We're not using it in a Benny way.
Right. Like, but if you're like, if you nerd out over this shit, like because I nerd out over this shit. And I listen to Kendrick and I listen to like the Black Hippie remix, or I listen to Rigor Mortis. And I'm like, bro, he's going off. It's like rhyme schemes stacked upon other rhyme schemes. I'm listening to this. I'm like, how do these guys not hear it or just end up ignoring it? Is my thing. But yeah, that's a topic for another day to really like delve into a little bit more. But I just wanted to say that because that shit is annoying me, man.
Macy, to the final words on that, Mac. I know you was about to say something.
Yeah, just Kendrick was identified as nice a very long time ago. This is not a conversation we need to be having now. This is not like, or we can't have the is Kendrick nice conversation 15 years into his career, okay? That's just hater shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, we already got past that. You feel me? So
Exactly.
I'm on board. We're gonna cook about it on Monday about the actual facts of the facts. We can really break this shit down, but I won't be here for the is Kendrick nice conversation.
That's not a serious conversation.
Kendrick ain't nice with his Drake. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, be careful. You know what I mean? OVO Mace, they can say don't even put them together. You know what I mean?
God damn, man.
You know what I mean? But look, we about to wrap it up. Everybody got to get back to their lives. We wanted to just pop it real quick because Nas doing what he did, that's a conversation piece. It's dividing the timeline. And when the timeline is divided, the Rap Roundtable has to swoop in to provide balance. Again, hit the like button, hit the hype button, run that up. And if something else comes about before Monday, we'll circle back. But until Monday, we'll see you soon. Peace.